Tonight, breaking news. Kim needs XP.
Shaper storms hit Kansas.
Alright, let's do this.
And Jim thinks we'll be okay.
Ah, Jim. Robot camels.
All that and more tonight on Anthem News with Tom and Louie. This evening we shall be answering some of the questions that you guys have posted on Twitter and on Reddit, and going into further speculation on some more points that have come up. On to the community questions subject. We have answers on Javelin Customization, speculations on the similarities between Destiny and Mass Effect, whether or not this game is story driven, answers on PvP, and a whole lot more. Our first question comes in from a man who is very good at hiding from ISIS. Shady Infidel asks, how in-depth will Javelin Customization be? Well, Shady, the trailer shows at least one customizable ability on each Javelin, depending on what initial weapon you equip to it. So we see a kind of rocket salvo let off by the heroine that we're following. Michelle, yes. We also see a mortar used by the Colossus. Heavy class, can't remember who is piloting that. Anyway.
Known as Paul. He is.
Are you gonna do this throughout my whole thing?
Yeah.
My theory, personally, is that heavy weapons can be placed upon heavier classes. So the Colossus will essentially be a walking weapons platform for heavy weapons, so railguns, mortars, things like that. We have no other data on exactly what kinds of weapons will be available, but you can speculate. Just go on to any heavy weapon from any futuristic game that has been released in the past 4 or 5 years, because they all follow a similar theme. We've got railguns, mortars, rockets, tracking rockets, things like that.
They're called homing missiles.
It's the same thing.
Homing missiles.
Looking more in depth at the Jara's Wrath Volt Rifle that is looted in the trailer, I will put a picture on screen of this. Looking closely at the picture that comes up when it is looted, you see something mounted on the front and a scope mounted on the top of the weapon, and then in her hands you can see that neither of those things are on there. So weapons may have a lowish level of like customization, so things to improve accuracy, range, power, things like that. On the subject of armor customization on your javelins, if you look at things like Mass Effect, I'll bring up a picture of the Mass Effect customization screen now. You can customize everything, legs, head, everything like that, glow. So I think in general it will be quite in-depth customization. There'll be a lot of loot to be got. I don't think it will be just limited set gear. I think you'll be able to do quite a lot with the customization of the appearance of your javelin.
Our next question. Alright, I can do it again!
Yeah, I know you can!
Alright, our next question comes from CS Zoltan, which asks, is first-person view outside the Javelin forced or optional? And we actually have two conflicting facts from Jonathan Warner, who is obviously one of the main developers behind Anthem. In one of them, he responds to a comment which says, will we be able to see our characters in third person outside the suits? And Jonathan Warner says, thank you. And yes, in some way you will. But this conflicts with another one that confirms first person in hubs and third person outside an open world. And what this could allude to is the way you see your character in cutscenes would very much suit this conundrum here.
Our next question comes in from a man with chest-high morals. Mr. Knockers16 asks, will this game be more like Destiny or Mass Effect? Now my answer to that is, in fact, the similarities to Destiny seem more thematic than mechanic, as in the overall theme of the game, so people, last city, defenders of a wall, blah blah blah, venturing out, fighting hostiles out in a kind of larger hostile environment, that's very Destiny-esque without the whole Darkness Traveler big floating testicle thing. But from looking at the gameplay, it looks like it plays more like Mass Effect or Gears of War. It's slightly more mobile with the whole jetpacking around thing, but the overall gameplay does appear to mimic the playstyle of something like Mass Effect or Gears of War. So in answer to your question, I think it's going to share a lot more with things like Gears of War or Mass Effect, and the overall theme will be more Destiny based. Our next question comes from a small cold man. Fridge Midget 89 asks, will Anthem be story driven? My answer to that is yes, Fridge Midget, I believe so. The man who's been answering all the tweets that have been sent out is a man called Jonathan Warner, who is a writer behind Mass Effect. Mass Effect has a fantastic storyline, so I speculate that whatever storyline comes out of this game, it will be good. They have also said on their website that story will be a focus of Anthem. Now, all of that aside, I have absolutely no idea what the story will be. What we have is a bunch of enemies that we know about. It has been quoted in an interview that we will fight other humans. We also know there are robots and big lizards. But what these other humans, robots, and big lizards want is entirely up to speculation. There is no overarching antagonist, as opposed to with Destiny, where we had, like, from the beginning, it was you're fighting minions of the darkness. What is the darkness, you ask? Shut up, they say. We don't want to give you any absolute specifics.
In an interview with Jonathan Warner, at one point in the interview, he was discussing some of the various enemy types freelancers the player base will encounter throughout the world. He mentioned one of these enemies will be other humans in Javelin's exosuits, which could lead to a PvP element. Silly.
Other speculations are upon this antagonist are why humanity fell in the first place. There must have been some kind of reason. It can't just have been down to big lizards, because big lizards can't do that kind of thing. So, to round things up, yes, Anthem will have a storyline and will be story-driven, and I believe that storyline to be good. What that storyline is, we have absolutely no idea, other than it involves the fall of humanity.
Do I have to make a joke about the names as well?
If the person has a name you can make a joke about, then make the joke.
I don't think it's very funny.
Who is this person?
Han Solo dies. That's his name.
From a man with no respect for human enjoyment comes our next question.
Han Solo Dies asks, how much gameplay is there underwater? On your screen now, you will see a screenshot taken from the gameplay trailer of when our protagonist dives into the water. And as you can see here, there seems to be some kind of tunnel. And this would indicate that you can indeed have underwater exploration, as indicated by the Discovery XP you get. But underwater combat is still unknown, but this could be simply due to the fact that the protagonist has not unholstered their weapon.
The next question comes in from a philosophical emo. Glass Half Broken asks, will you be able to switch your Javelin in the open world or not? Now, my speculation on this, Broken Glass, is that you will not. It doesn't, due to the nature of the Javelin exosuit, it doesn't seem like something you can just like hop in and hop out of that easily. There may be some kind of hub, like an outpost that you can go to, like dotted around the world, where you can change suits. Like you can get yours sent to you in some kind of drop pod or something. However, I don't think it will be a free change option when in the world.
Oh yeah, fuck off. Sorry. Our next question comes from... Fuck, what's his name again? I need to look it up. Jeff Ortiz 1012 asks, what roles will the other two Javelin classes fill? Now, obviously, the Ranger we already know and can get from the gameplay trailer that it's an all-rounder. So, as you know, attributes for the general classes would be more or less the same. Heavy, obviously, would be focused on armor, which with the Colossus. Heavy hitter, slow. If we look at Avid games, generally there seems to be some type of stealth assassin class. So more lightweight, less armor, but more deadly, so to speak. And Sandra in the gameplay seems to be some, as you can see, her flying may be some kind of air support class that takes situations from the sky. But I think we can generally just look at other archetypes from games and more or less say this game will stick to those archetypes.
Yeah. So we have things like stealth, like a faster medium base class, possibly some kind of scout. Air support, so Sandra, like we said, somebody who can bring combat from an entirely different level.
This is my news report. Fuck off.
No, you missed out something.
I didn't miss out anything.
And possibly some kind of close combat.
I said that one.
No, you didn't.
I said close combat, stealth, range.
No,
I said words.
Be quiet. Go over there.
Don't send me to the naughty corner.
But yes, there may be some kind of supportive class as well. However, that would take the whole first-person element out of the game, because if you're supporting yourself, it would just kind of suck.
Now, that's the one I forgot. I forgot support.
Our final question comes from a man whose name I cannot be bothered to make up a joke about, and it asks whether or not this game will have PvP. It may take the route of the Division, where you could go rogue at some point, and then you're highlighted and people can try and kill you, and you can try and take other people out, which would be very interesting. And I would really enjoy that because I like being a dick.
Yeah, you do.
The reality is that basically every game that comes out at the moment has PvP in some element. Like it could be a very, very PvE focused game, but it has been stated to be a rival to Destiny. Some people like EA's answer to Destiny. and Destiny has PvP. So if it doesn't have PvP, it won't answer that side of it very well, I feel. So yes, I am pretty certain it will have PvP. Final thoughts for this video are that if you look closely within the gameplay trailer, you'll notice that when the mortar goes off, the big heavy weapon fired by the Colossus, it leaves a crater. Like, it actually deals damage to the terrain. The terrain appears to be somewhat destructible. How broad this spectrum of destructible terrain will be is still open to speculation. Like, whether it will be on the scale of something where it kind of leaves a crater. There's like different, I don't know, even like, yeah, just there's game mechanics for craters, or whether it will go full Battlefield where you can just break everything. We don't know, but it will be quite interesting to see.
Jonathan Warner has confirmed that the flying that appeared in the gameplay trailer is in fact player controlled. So we know that for sure, that the flying is indeed player controlled.
So you will be able to swoop around like a fairy.
Like Superman. Is it a bird? Is it a pen?
It's not. And that's it for this week's Anthem broadcast. With me, Tom, and my co-presenter, the bearded idiot.
My name's Louis.
If you have any questions...
What's your name? Please love me. Tom keeps me in the cage. Send help.
If you have any further questions or any queries or any speculations to give us that you want mentioned, then message us on Twitter, or that we have a Facebook page, or leave it in the comments below. We will put links in the description to all of those things.
Hashtag save Louis.
Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you.